Welcome to our channel. Today, we bring you another topic. 10 questions to ask your partner before marriage. We seldom contemplate one of the most likely consequences of marriage, divorce, when we think about meeting someone, falling in love, and beginning a family. Divorce is, unfortunately, a reality in some relationships. However, the line between realism and scaremongering is thin. Divorce does not automatically suggest that it will happen to you. While you can't always stop life getting in the way, and unexpected roadblocks and problems emerging, you can be sure that your relationship is strong enough to withstand them. It should, ideally, begin well before you get married. Also, if you have a question, don't be afraid to ask it. You're free to ask any question at any moment, since you don't want to waste time if you're thinking about it and it is essential to you. Just remember to come at it from a vulnerable position and explain why it's so important to you. Here are questions to ask your partner before you get married, since hard conversations now can save you a lot of misery afterwards. 1. What are your financial goals, and how can we try to reach them? First and foremost, you must address the subject of money. Being on the same page early on is crucial, since money is the most prevalent source of stress in relationships. How come you never seem to pay your bills on time, yet order delivery 3 nights a week, is far more destructive than inquiring about financial goals. It's obviously a significant sore spot for a lot of couples, Lee admits. Rather, she advises dealing with debt, spending, and saving. Inquire about items like, how will the costs be split? Do you have different financial goals depending on your gender? Are we going to be able to merge our accounts? What will be our top priority in terms of spending? 2. How can I help you when you're stressed? One of the most useful things you can do for your spouse is to learn how to help them when they're down. Everyone is different, and some people demand reassurance while others prefer space, and yet others require a pep talk. However, when we're concerned and in pain, we may not be able to explain our desires clearly. You and your partner will be able to help one another and manage stress if you decide what you need ahead of time. 3. Do you want children, and what would we do if we struggle to get pregnant? You'd assume that before getting married, everyone would discuss having children, but that isn't always the case. While you should address whether or not you both want them, you should also have a more in-depth conversation. When you're trying to conceive, the last thing you want to find out is that one of you wants to try IVF, but the other doesn't think it's worth it, or that one of you is interested in adoption and the other isn't. Even if your opinions change over time, communicating before you're in that situation ensures that you're approaching the problem as a team. 4. What are your expectations around childcare and parenting? That's excellent if you're both set on having children and how many. The next step is to figure out how to grow them. Lee suggests thinking on the following questions. If we have children, what are your expectations for childcare and parenting? Are there any expectations that you have based on your gender? Is it true that you identify as a feminist? Which one is the best fit for you? Do we work and look after the kids at the same time? Would you want to stay at home? Also discuss what you enjoyed and didn't like about each partner's upbringing. 5. What's your communication style? Everyone understands the importance of communication in a relationship. Even so, if you and your spouse appear to have distinct communication styles, it might be difficult to figure out how to communicate effectively. So, despite the fact that it may seem meta, talk about communication. Is one of you in need of some contemplation time? Have you ever spoken anything on the spur of the moment and regretted it later? Is one of you more talented than the other when it comes to writing? Everything else becomes much more accessible after you overcome the communication problem. 6. What are your deal breakers? There are deal breakers in everyone's life. They might be about conventional issues like whether or not you want children, what religion you want them to be raised in, or what kind of mate you want. But they could also be about something entirely different. Your deal breakers may be things like where you want to live, passion projects you'd like to work on, or professional goals you'd like to achieve. These non-negotiables might help you better comprehend your future landscape and whether it will work for you and your partner. If your deal breakers are compatible, your marriage will have a far higher chance of surviving. 7. How much alone time do you need? Everyone needs time alone, but some people need it more than others. If you don't recognize your partner needs time alone, you can dismiss their requests as distant, angry, or resentful. Establishing early on that you both require alone time and how it manifests can not only enrich your relationship, but it will also reduce further uncertainties. 8. What's your biggest fear? It's not an easy question to answer, but it might reveal what makes someone tick. Marriage is about getting to know one another and learning about each other's hopes, objectives, and goals. It's also about being aware of one's concerns, regrets, and problems, which is especially important in the context of marriage. As a result, make sure you're asking the tough questions, and your relationship will be much more forgiving. Many people were raised in families where marriage was viewed as a negative thing, Lee argues. Being able to discuss things in an open and honest manner. Fears should be cultivated and taken into account, and they should be handled together. 9. How do we deal with our in-laws? It's critical to set boundaries with in-laws when establishing a new family. A lot of people are still attached to their ancestors in ways that make them feel like they're still a small child trying to please their family, Lee says. Although being close to family is pleasant, it may pose issues in the future, particularly if you and your partner's family are not friendly. How do you propose to prioritize our relationship once we get married is a major issue. How would you deal with it if your father wanted one thing and I wanted another? What are your priorities for our new family as a married couple? How much time do you anticipate us spending with your family? Is one of the things to ask. How much time do you see us spending with your family? And how much time do you see us spending with your family? 10. What are your fantasies surrounding marriage? Do you have any fantasies about what you're looking for in a marriage and your partnership? You may ask, according to Lee. You may not anticipate nightly home-cooked dinners, weekly date nights, frequent vacations, or social situations in which you must perform as a unit, but your husband may. Be mindful of each other's marital aspirations to avoid surprises and disappointment after the wedding. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button.